And obviously, with no clear winner in sight, everything now hangs on 4 key states who have yet to declare.
And the tense atmosphere, maybe that's an understatement, surrounding the vote counting has been playing out on the streets too.
Now, while votes are still being tallied and we don't yet know the president-elect so far, the numbers do tell us one thing. The United States is obviously a nation divided.
Yeah, with the popular vote being split nearly right down the middle, continued protests and even counter-protests across the country, the question really is this divide too great to unite no matter who is in the Oval Office? Joining us to discuss is the Reverend Gregory Sill Livingston, civil rights leader and organizer. Reverend, good to have you here with us. It seems like we're a nation that, no question, is divided. Do we get even more divided no matter what happens? Because it seems like this election is devolving, for lack of a better term, day by day.
Hello, Manila. Hello, Ben. It's an honor to be here, especially at this crazy time here in my pandemic lair where the pandemic is not even top of the news now. But I have to say this in terms of the division, that much of the work that we did in Chicago in terms of fighting violence and poverty and things of that nature, we talked about a tale of two cities. And the tale of two cities is the progeny of a tale of two Americas. And what I mean by that is, allow me to contextualize it this way. There is the Jeffersonian America, which is Thomas Jefferson, and there is the Kingsian America, which is Martin King. And the Jeffersonian America, only whites, landowners, and blooded or pedigree persons had enfranchisement or rights. But in the King America, blacks, women, people who were considered undesirable, people who were not landowners, could have full enfranchisement and participate in the American experiment, the American dream. And having said this, what's really important to understand is that the issue of race in America is still America's unstitched wound. It is an unstitched wound. And on May 25th of this year, when Derek Chauvin killed George Floyd, the flimsy bandage that was covering that unstitched wound was ripped off. And so that which was always there became even more prevalent and was seen, because of the magnification of the pandemic, was seen even closer by many people, just like in the civil rights movement when they had mobile cameras on the streets and people around the world were able to see what was actually happening in America. So this division, when you talk to a person who was a descendant of slaves, my grandfather was born in 1883. I'm 2 persons removed from slavery. I had 2 uncles that were lynched in 1919 after World War I, coming back, fighting for the country. One is in the lynching museum in Montgomery, Alabama. I cannot criticize the fruit of this present division. I cannot condemn it and ignore the tree that it comes from.
Now, Reverend, I'm glad you walked us down America's history, because I think that paints a picture and puts in context that I'm not sure that America was ever really actually united at any point, going as far back as Thomas Jefferson, like you said, or more in modern times, like MLK, as you also mentioned. But between these COVID restrictions that you mentioned right off the top in your COVID layer, as you said, the political differences in opinion, 2020 has really seen a lot of friendships and relationships fall apart. They've come to an end. With the holidays coming up, all these family gatherings and what have you, is there any way for us to discuss these heavy topics with our loved ones in a respectful manner?
Yes, there is. And it's interesting you mentioned loved ones and the whole idea of family. Let me just do this very quickly. You can have a family, a parent, a child, a husband, and a wife that are estranged from one another. They're estranged. And so then when you bring them together, they're reconciled. They belong together. You can reconcile estranged things, but you cannot reconcile strange things. And so when you talk about the history of this country, part of the problem is that colonial whiteness and colonial blackness, those two constructs are irreconcilable constructs. Why is that? That might sound radical, but why is that? White, one means master, one means slave. One means human, one means inhuman. One means superior, one means inferior. One means visible, one means, in the terms of Ralph Ellison's book, The Invisible Man, invisible. In other words, they were never meant to be together. They were never meant to be reconciled. And so what Dr. King pushed for was something that transcended those colonial constructs, when little white boys and little black girls and little black boys, Jews, Gentiles, Protestants, and Catholics, he transcended those colonial constructs, as it were, in order to say that we as Americans must become something other than what was intended. And it is only when we accept that which was meant to be is not the right thing, and we must transcend that, and there is another kind of construct that we can be as American people. Because look, as a black man, I am a quintessential American. Nobody is more American than me. I'm not half Dutch, I'm not half Irish, I'm half Arkansas, and I'm half Louisiana. 400 years is long enough to create a new people. That's who I am and who black people are in this country. We didn't immigrate. We were here at the beginning.
So we just had some live pictures of some protesters in Philadelphia today. It's going on right now live. Moving forward, and we quickly here, about a minute left, what do you see happening over the next 6 months to the next year? Because we do have a country that's divided, and either way, no matter which way this election goes, at least half of this voting population is going to believe that they were cheated.
Well, I hope the fires of protests, because a protest is merely a disagreement about something, and you speak up about it, and then you have resistance. I hope the fires of protest are continually stoked. We cannot let this opportunity to change our country, change our nation, change our world even, pass us by. But there is no progress without a struggle. There has to be sacrifice, and power concedes nothing without a demand. So the people that are protesting are coming to understand that those that have the power and are not using the power in a righteous way are doing everything they can to hold on to it. And so we must stand up with soul force, as Gandhi would say. We must stand up with this love force, this soul force, as King would say. And it is our responsibility to be vigilant and to have courage and to keep going forward. And in the American tradition, when we looted at the Boston Tea Party, in the American tradition, when we rebelled against the British, we must continue to rebel against the tyrants, even if they be in this country.
All right, we'll leave it right there. Reverend Gregory Seal Livingston, good to see you. Thank you for weighing in on this.
You too, Dr. Chan. Yeah.